Today we are going to learn about VPC Private Link. So without a delay, let's get started. So VPC Private Link. So VPC Private Link is a service provided by AWS in which we connect two AWS accounts with each other to share resources or services. So VPC Private Link is also called as a endpoint configuration or endpoint link. So this is a kind of a private link which is created between two AWS accounts. Although we have some other options to connect AWS accounts, but the main advantage of VPC private link is that all this connectivity is through a private link, which means it's over a private subnet. So it provides us an advantage to share the services in a private mode so that all our data and other things are. So we need two AWS account A, let's say, and account B. So let's write down some points for account B. So for example, we have a RDS on account B, and we have a web server or any EC2 server on account A. So for this demo purpose, our requirement would be to connect the RDS service from EC2, which means from account A, we will be creating a connectivity towards account B. So on account B side, we need a RDS. Okay, that's there. Then we need to have a network load balancer, NLB. And we also need endpoint service. Okay. Then we need to whitelist account A on EPS, or we can write endpoint service site. So these are the tasks from account B side. From account A, we need to create an endpoint by using the endpoint service. So from account A, we will be creating endpoint by using the endpoint service, will, which we will be creating on account B side. Also, we need to create a security group with required ports. Fine. So if we talk about VPC endpoint or VPC private link, then there are some prerequisite. Okay. So on prerequisite side, uh, we need NLB from the provider side. When I say provider, so provider is the account uh, which will be providing the services. So in our side, account B is our provider account. So we would need NLB, then we need endpoint service, then we need endpoint from other side. We need whitelisting. So these are the prerequisite, if you say, for this endpoint configuration. So let's create some graphical representation of the services. So as we discussed, we will be having one NLB. So for say this is a NLB, NLB will be on account B level, and accordingly we will be having listener, target group. You might be knowing all those things, right? So we will be having listener and TG. Okay, fine. And next part is we need a EPS. When I say EPS, that is endpoint service. So endpoint service. So let's name it as EPS. Okay, we'll create some connectivity here. Looks good. And from account A side, we need an endpoint. So here, say endpoint, endpoint, and we will be having a private link connectivity towards this EPS. Okay, and yeah, this will be connecting to endpoint. We will be having some security group here. Security group. Okay, fine. Now let's come to the hands-on part. Okay, so first, as per our diagram, we will be doing the configuration of account B side. So yeah, let's say this is our account B. Let's go to RDS section. So for your information, I am using Google Chrome browser, and this is a general mode of Google Chrome, and I am having account B here. I mean the account where I will be having RDS, and in incognito mode, I have another account. You can see the account name is having AWS user here. So this is our account A. From this account, we will be accessing the service of account B. I mean, we will be accessing the RDS for a demo purpose. So we are in account B. Now we have to check the configuration part of our RDS. So yeah, we have a RDS. This is the Oracle RDS. Okay. So yeah, as the Oracle RDS or any RDS takes some times to get created. So I already have this in prior. So you can see the engine is Oracle Enterprise Engine here, and we have the required configuration. We have a security group attached to it with port 1521. So by default, it is having 1521 and also, okay, fine. We have the RDS now. Now we need the NLB and all these configurations. So let's go to the NLB section. Let's go to the network load balance. Let's come to the load balancer part. We'll create load balancer. As we discussed, we need a network load balancer here. So I will create a network load balancer. Let's give it a name, RDS NLB. Definitely this will be internal facing. We are not going over internet. So this is fine. Let's select our VPC. This is my VPC. Let's select the subnets. So as of now, I will be selecting two subnets. Just remember, like the NLB is also getting created in the private subnet as we are dealing with private layer connectivity. Okay, so yeah, for port, this is for listener. Let's give it a 1521. Now we need to create a target group. Yep. So let's select IP here. So for this endpoint, now for this demo purpose, we are using RDA. So there might be different uh, other services which we can use with endpoint. For example, EC2 instance. If we are hosting some applications there, then we can connect it over this VPC private link. We can also access S3. There are a lot of things to be connected on private link. So for further information, you can find it out over AWS documentation. So as of now, I will be selecting IP address. Okay. So this is for the port 1521. This is fine. VPC is fine. Next, target group name TG1. So we are giving a name to TG1. Let's create the target group. Okay. So just create the target group first. Okay. I'll remove the existing one. So we have this target group now. So target group is there. Let's go to load balancer. Now we can find out the target group here. Yeah, we can see TG1. That is fine. And let's create the load balancer. So this will be created in a while. Let's go to load balancer. Click on the load balancer. Yeah, we can see the listener. We are having this listener 1521. This is fine. And all the incoming requests to this 1521 will be forwarded to this target group TG1. Let's go to TG1. Okay. Now we can see we don't have any targets here. Okay. So now we need to attach the RDS as a target. Okay. So there are so we will attach the target. If you remember, if we go to RDS, so by default, RDS is not having direct visibility of the IP address. Okay, internally for their AWS related purpose, they have the private address assigned with the RDS or this DB. So if we click on this DB on the configuration part, we can see that it is having an endpoint, right? So we can find out the address via several ways. So what we can do, we can log into this AWS account on any EC2 instance, and we can just do NS lookup to this endpoint, and it can um, give us the exact IP of the systems. Okay, or another option is that we can find out this security group, and we can uh, get the IP via the network interface. So every time whenever a security group is created, it is having its network interface related to that. So let's say we have this security group named RDS-SG. So what we can do, let's go to network interface. Yes, and here we can search RDS. Okay, and yeah, we can see RDS SG. Yes, yeah, we can see one network interface with this. Okay, you can see the security group name here. This is the same one which we have on our RDS side, and we can get the IP here. Yeah, you can see we are having this as a private IP. So we need to use this private IP as a target group targets. Okay, so let's come to this target group page. register targets. So my network my VP is fine. We will put the IP here, add. Okay, 1521 is fine, include as pending. Okay, now we will register the targets. So now you can see that target registration is in progress. So usually as this is a RDS, so it will take some 5 or 10 minutes max to get it registered. So we will wait for a while to get it on a healthy state. So whenever the target will be healthy, we will see the overview here in the health. Yeah, now you can see that the target status is in healthy state. So we are done with the configuration. Let's review it. Okay. Okay, so just for a summary, this is our target B where we have our RDS. Okay, so this is our NLB. Yeah, looks good. We have a listener with port 1521 as we are working with Oracle RDS. So we have a target group attached here. On target group side, yeah, the protocol is 1521. It's fine. Target is healthy. Okay, so now let's get back to our main agenda. So we are done with RDS. NLB is also created now. Our task is to create the endpoint service. Fine. So endpoint service. So endpoint service comes under VPC section. So we need to go to VPC. Here on the left hand side, we can see endpoint service. Let's open endpoint service. Okay. So create endpoint service, give it a name. Let's give my EPS. Network is fine. Yep, it's providing as a suggestion with the NLB, whatever we have. So if you are having multiple NLBs in your account, so it will provide all the suggestions in this list here. So just select the NLB, fine, acceptance required. So acceptance required is like whenever any endpoint wants to connect to this endpoint service, then there is a kind of a checkpoint where we need to give a confirmation. So as of now, I will remove it. That's fine. Let's create the endpoint service. So our endpoint service is created. So let's copy this service name. So for this endpoint, we need to copy this service name. This service name will be used from other account, from account A, when we will be creating endpoint. Okay. So let's keep this fine. Okay. So let's get back to the agenda. Endpoint service is created. Then we have whitelist account A. Okay, so now endpoint service is created on account B side, and now we need to whitelist account A. When we say whitelist account A, which means we will take account A, account ID, and we will be allowing that in account B, so that our endpoint service will understand that which account is capable to create endpoint. So this is our endpoint service, and let's go to allow principal. So if we go to allow principal, here we need to provide the account ID. Okay, so just remember to provide the account ID with the same format whatever is here. So for a quick reference, we will write down the format. It's ARN AWS IAM, then account ID will be here, then type. In the type section, we can provide root. Okay, this is the basic generic way. So Here in the place of account ID, we will be providing the account ID. Let's go to account A. So this is our account A from where we will be accessing the RDS. So let's go to this AWS user, copy this account ID. Okay, paste it over here. We have the ARN generated now. Copy this ARN and just put down here. Add principal, allow principal. So now our endpoint service on account B on RDS side is configured. We can just quickly cross check. Yep, we have one account principal. You can see one. Yep, it's added over here. Fine. Now we are done from the account B side. Let's get back to the agenda. So account B side is done. Now we need to create endpoint from account A. Let's quickly go to account A. So this is our account A. Now we have to create an endpoint here. Okay. So endpoint is on the VPC section. Let's go to endpoint. Yeah, no endpoint is here. So let's create an endpoint, give it a name, my endpoint, RDS. Okay, AWS services, there are four options. So let's click on other endpoint services. Other endpoint services, because we are connected to a different AWS account. You can see it's asking about a service name. So you remember we have got the service name from other account. So we'll copy the service name, place it over here, verify the service. Yep, service name verified. Now it is able to verify the service. That looks good. We'll select our VPC. We need to select our subnet. Just select the subnets here. IPv4, that is fine. Now we need to get the security group. Uh, so we already have some security groups created from prior. So we'll select this web server SG. Just to cross check, whatever the security group we are using, it should be having the same port as a kind of rules there. So let's cross check whether we have 1521 here or not. It's a bit slow. We are using web server SG. Yep, you can see for Oracle RDS, we already have 1521 allowed from all the VPC ranges. Fine. So this looks good. Then create endpoint. So endpoint is getting created. This is our account A. Let's quickly check our agenda. Yeah, this is our account A. So from account A, we need to create an endpoint and also we need to check the security group with required ports. So this looks good. We are done with our configuration. Now we will do a small connectivity test whether we are able to access this configuration for the demo or not. So this is in progress. Let's refresh it. Details. If you see the details of the endpoint, whatever we created, you need to go to details section and go to the DNS name. Just copy the first DNS from here. Okay, it will be having a long name starting with VPCE. So, yep. So we have the endpoint created now. We have the name. Now, what we'll do, we'll go to EC2. Let's go to EC2 here. So let's start this instance. So our agenda was to create a private link from a private subnet from account A to a private subnet account B. So as we saw that we have a RDS on private subnet uh, in account B side. Now we will be trying to access the configurations and all this private link connectivity from account A. So we will be logging into a EC2 machine, and whatever the endpoint we have created, we will be doing some network connectivity layer test, for example, with telnet or curl. So you can see our web server has got started. Let's check the configuration. Yeah, you can see it is having only private IPv4 address. So this is not a public instance. This is residing in private subnet and having only private IP. So let's log into the system. I already have configured system manager for quick access. So you can also configure system manager for your easy access. So now we are here in account A. Let's go to telnet, then copy paste the endpoint DNS, put down a space and just a port number. So our configuration is based upon Oracle RDS, so it is having a 1521 enabled. So now put down enter. Yes, you can see a confirmation message that this is connected to VPC this. Okay, and escape character is this, which means uh, this output ensures that we are now able to connect from account A to account B RDS. Okay, so as per our agenda, we are able to connect from account A. So that's all for today's video. We will be coming with another video in our next session. Till then, bye bye. Happy learning. Thank you.